So, as someone who actually used to have very popular Kengan uploads, I had a couple that really popped. Unfortunately, I got hit with a couple copyright strikes on those because I was shitty at editing and put scans up too long. So, luckily, I've progressed as an editor. I've kept up with the series, and I'm super excited to bring Kengan content back to the channel. If you are a fan of the series or a fan of manga in general, smash the like button. Let's get this to 300 likes and we'll do another Kengan video. But one case I don't feel like is discussed a lot and I want to see discussed is the narrative between Saul Paing and Gaolang, right? Saul and Gao were rivals. That was Saul's first real rival, as he lost to Gao in a match between them when they were younger, right? He was not able to beat him as he lost on points. Ever since that moment, he dedicated himself to becoming good enough to surpass Gaolang. That was his rival. That was like the goalpost for him. Well, what kind of sucks about it is that narrative hasn't really been revisited, hasn't really been deepened and given a proper answer. So today, kind of using cases for both sides, we're going to answer that question. Did Saul Paing truly surpass his rival? Did he become stronger than his rival? Let's get to the bottom of it. I hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let's begin. So, first point in the case. Let's examine their first fight. Early Saul lost to Gao on points. Gaolang was much more technically skilled and more notorious at that time for being a world-class striker. However, he lacked the ability to do any real damage at that point and had to tech him. This is pretty problematic given that in a Kengan scenario, it's basically you got to finish your opponent. So he wasn't able really to do any serious damage to Saul. Saul was annoyed that he couldn't beat him. You know, he just kind of was walking through everything but couldn't beat him and got out technically skilled and lost that match. So obviously at that point, Gao was skilled enough to basically box up Saul and stay out of the way of his bombs. You know, maybe couldn't do much damage, but he could beat him with technical skill. Saul then would go on to train and continuously challenge and damn near beg for a rematch. Saul was convinced he had grown to the point that the technical difference would be different. This is interesting because Saul at this point would be confident in a setting where you could fight by rounds and can win off points. You see, Saul wasn't requesting a new situation where they fight just to the finish. He's like, no, I'll just fight you regardless. So he's confident even in a technical matchup after improving upon his game. It was clearly shown in Saul fights, even though through the lens of Gaolang, that in Ashura, even then, Saul had clearly grown and progressed as a fighter. He demonstrated an elite precognitive ability versus the Whale Slayer. I don't see many people talk about this, but it was literally demonstrated both of them were using precog, could foresee several of the moves that would be used and could eliminate them instantly, and Saul ended up having the superior precog and put down his opponent. He has insane speed as well, including against the Lightning God. He only was ever truly overcome by his own attack potency being reversed upon him, and he even debuted new signature power moves like the Hammer of Burma. In my opinion, looking at the Kengan Ashura case, if we were to compare this narrative towards the end of that and overall who became the better fighter, Ashura, Gao versus Saul has merit to argue. Saul didn't see Gao's improvements, which included him debuting that he was a masterful Muay Thai striker, as problematic at all. He was still comfortable with that. In fact, he clearly showed that even despite seeing this variation introduced, Saul was comfortable with and still wanted a rematch. He was like, whatever, that's still my rival. Like, I'd be more than willing to fight him right now. He was still comfortable, which kind of probably more speaks to Saul's comfort in his growth as a striker, and that growth being enough to couple with his timing and physical stats. This setting, which is the Kengan setting, where you basically have to chase a finish, is a setting which, in my opinion, Saul would feel even more confident in, given that you have to get a finish. I'm just not confident Gaolang has any way to put down Gaolang and Saul and Ashura, and as a result, I actually see Saul Paing being his superior in that setting and Kengan Ashura. Obviously, if we were to be talking about these two in a technical match, let's say 8 rounds, 2 minutes on the clock each round, and you can win off points, it's a good chance Gaolang could still win. But Saul improved drastically, was a much better striker compared to his prior form, and the Hammer of Burma was extremely dangerous. So in a Kengan setting where it's basically finish your opponent or get finished, I see that kind of setting heavily favoring Saul, and I see Saul and Ashura winning, being his superior in Kengan, if that was the way they fought. Now let's go over Kengan Omega, which obviously follows up, and is an amazing read. By the way, if you haven't read this series but you're super interested in it, watching my video, join my Discord server and I'll hook you up with the reading. But anyways, let's go over the Omega side of things, right? Kengan Omega definitely showed that Gaolang had improved. He got faster and stronger, even according to world-class boxer Carlos. His prior broken hand that he had broken towards the end of the Kengan Ashura story, this was healed, and he conditioned it to the point that it was called a divine weapon in the hand of God. And he explained that it now scaled to Saul's bones and was inspired by the way Saul had forged his own durability. So he had shown he was a crisp striker, could stand toe-to-toe with another world-class boxer, and now had an improved weapon in his previously broken hand. Now let's look at Saul. Saul improved several times, according to witnesses, as he was able to go toe-to-toe with Amai Cosmo. Cosmo, for reference, went toe-to-toe with Oma and Ashura, beat Okoye, who had the fastest reflexes among the fighters at the time, and was a world-class grappler. He also had beat Akubo, when Amai was heavily weakened. What makes this crazy is couple this with the fact that it was shown he had massively improved as an overall fighter in Omega, and he one-shot a world-class kickboxer casually. In facing Cosmo, who's a world-class grappler, and now a world-class striker and a high IQ fighter, Saul was easily able to stand with him, and forced, obviously, Cosmo to resort to grappling. We then saw Saul overcome this, using his own Hammer of Burma on the ground to get separation, and put away Cosmo with a clean strike. His ability as a striker, fighter, and overall balanced martial artist was clearly demonstrated, and again, makes this case interesting. So, for Kengan Omega, who do I think is superior between the two? The Omega case, I feel like, is a lot more complicated for a couple new factors. One, depending on how you feel about Ashura, Gaolang is outright stated in his fight with Carlos to have improved. He got better. Like, it is stated. Then when you look at when Saul fought Cosmo, it's stated he got several times stronger. So it's like, what do you put more stock in? Oh, Gaolang got stronger, or Saul got several times stronger? To me, I'd lean Saul in that case, but I'll leave it up to you guys. By the way, make sure to get the conversation started in the comment section down below. I'm really good about responding, especially when you present your case in a respectful way. But anyways, getting back to this, on top of that, Gaolang has a new weapon. That hand that was previously broken is now, if we go by the statement, it should scale to Saul's bones. Thus, he does now have a win con for, if we assume his bone in that hand scales to Saul's bones, he could potentially hurt Saul. So that does introduce a potential win con for him. Overall, for Omega, who do I think is the superior? Did he surpass him in a Kengan setting? It's still more likely to me that Saul would win, given that there's only one attack, really, that Gaolang would have that could take him out, which would be his Divine Hand. However, it's still arguable Saul would take several of those, and I just don't see Gaolang taking a Hammer of Burma or taking multiple strikes from Saul. Most strikes from Gao really won't be a factor with Saul, and I think Saul would kind of walk through him and try to land his own, and certainly fast enough to threaten to do so. So I still would probably lean Saul, but I definitely think the new win con makes it very interesting. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Are you one that thinks Gaolang would beat Saul even in a Kengan setting where it's basically a finish or nothing, or a Purgatory where you got to knock him out the ring? You let me know. I'm more confident in Saul, but I can see the case for both sides, and I'm curious to see what you guys say. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons, and if you want to see more Kengan content, make sure to smash the like button, and I'll make sure to deliver. Anyways, I'll see y'all later. Peace.